Hello everyone, it's Mikey P back for another commentary. Only Fools and Horses today. We're going to do Friday the 14th, which is Series 3 of Only Fools and Horses. So get your Series 3 disc out. And I'm on the episode selection screen. I'm on Friday the 14th and we will start in 3, 2, 1, go. And the famous music is up. Right. This episode was first screened on 24th of November 1983 and I recorded this on VHS back in the day. There he is, it's the original title card from the first series, which had different music, the first series, but they changed it later on, obviously, to this song sung by John Sullivan himself, obviously. Leonard Pearce in his last series before he died, sadly, of a heart attack, whilst filming the fourth series, which they re-filmed with a different actor. There we are, Friday the 14th, and Rodney having a Chinese takeaway, so typical of life then and now, but more so now, and Del Boy coming in. Apparently there's no light switch, so look for it, and the mirror behind Rodney's been tilted so you can't see the camera. Can you see it? The mirror's been tilted a little bit so you can't see the camera, and apparently there's no light switch here somewhere. So if you see that, write down in the comments, after you've liked and subscribed, write down in the comments. Oh, the maggots. Poltergeist, the movie, you remember that? When the maggots came out of the bloke's face in the 80s? Oh, reference. And of course Leonard Pearce, great. Del Boy dressed up in all his green wellies and stuff, looking very attractive. Cornwall, they're off to Cornwall. I'm still looking out for that light switch. I can see where the mirror's been sort of tilted so you can't see the camera. They bent it down a bit so it's just filming not even the back of Rodney's. But let's look over to the right of Del Boy. Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, so this is Series 3, Episode 3, and we were flying by now. 9.7 million viewers in the third series, so definitely in the top higher tier of comedy of BBC in 1983. Definitely higher up. And we're on the way. You can see all the junk. No iPhones, no iPads, there's nothing there at all, is there? Del Boy's back out again. So he's making a deal. He's made a deal with Boise in a fish and chip shop to go and get some Elliot Ness. I mean, like he was in the Untouchables, of course, film with Kevin Costner's probably the most famous reference for that in '87, with Sean Connery doing this famous Irish-Scottish accent. Anyway, yeah, so look, Del Boy's going to eat Rodney's, if that's a Chinese, I think it's a Chinese, it might be an Indian, I can't really tell. And here's Del Boy with his famous mathematics. And this up to end of Series 5, and I think the Series 5 Christmas special, the things were produced by a man called Ray Butt and directed by a man called Ray Butt. And David Jason took his accent from Ray Butt, and this is how he sounds like this consistently up to the end of probably The Frog's Legacy, and then Ray Butt left to be the head of drama at ITV, and Del Boy, or David Jason's voice in Series 6, you'll notice it's not quite the same because he hasn't got Ray Butt there to mimic anymore. So if you listen to the anyway through to Series 5, he sounds good because he's doing the Ray Butt impression. But when Ray Butt's gone from Series 6 onwards, he sounds slightly different. Voice isn't quite the same. See if you agree with me. Tell me in the comments when you're liking and loving me and all that down below. Huh? It can't even poach an egg. What a classic. This episode was obviously a mid-season episode, so it's a slightly, you could call it, but there are locations, so it's not really a bottle episode. I think that's more like the first Roy Slater episode in this year where they get arrested for the famous microwave oven, I didn't say I wouldn't come. There we go, classic. Go and poach. Instead of going fishing, we're going poach. Yeah, there's been a location. I wonder if anyone of the series was actually driving this. I wonder where this is, actually. The three-wheeler and the smoke being generated by a little smoke thing on the back. You won't see the back. Oh, you do, but there's a little smoke thing on the back sending out the white smoke. So this must have been I got the episode cost $82,000 to produce, which is probably due to some guest car and the location stuff. I mean, obviously we didn't go to Cornwall. We're probably in some corrugated shack in the back of a field. And here's the warning, you see. See, this is a bit like Psycho because it's raining. Remember Janet Leigh when she's driving towards escaping with or stealing the money and running off? And the policeman stalked it. So I suppose John Sullivan stole a lot of this from Psycho, really, didn't he? Because he even references it later on with the Psycho talk about grannies and bloke geezer who dresses up in his mother's clothes. So yeah, I think he must have watched Psycho at some point close to this and decided to do a sort of satire, a comedy of it. Because it has got those tense moments, because Ray Butt's directing it with no salmon, no perfect reference to that moment. So he's trying to help old Grandad, but he always puts his foot right in it. Unusual for Grandad to be outside. Doesn't often leave the flat, and here he is off to Cornwall with the family to do some fishing. This actor who's playing the policeman, I mean, he did a lot of bit part stuff, but not particularly famous, but there it is. So after Series 2, after the big success of Series 2, Series 3 was a cert with the BBC. See, remember the policeman who chased Janet Leigh at the beginning of Psycho when she was escaping? I mean, he stopped her a few times and spoke to her when she slept in her car and that changed cars. So this is the same sort of friendly warning not to be a lunatic. And they're looking around. Sorry for the horns outside. I can't help it. People beat me. They love me. Like and subscribe and you can love me too. We need to build this channel up, don't we? I know I don't upload enough, but sorry, busy man. Haven't got the fortune of the KSIs and Logan Pauls and all that lark. Don't pick up any hitchhikers. Your life might depend on it. Right, I jumped the line there, but you know where we are. I wonder, because I mean, rain doesn't show on film, and this is obviously film rather than video, so they're giving it the old rain machine, obviously. Look at them both, Rodney and Grandad, scared to death. Full of head, both. Oh, God. Crazed axe-murderer. And there is a tier of payments for this episode as well. Amazingly, even though David Jason was a big star in the BBC at this point, he got 7,500 for this episode, and probably for each episode of this season. Nicholas Lyndhurst, 5,000 per episode. Remember, there's only 6 episodes, so 6 fives is £30,000 after. You know, so it's not that much. I mean, it's all right, a good wage for the time, I suppose, but not what you'd think, you know, superstar actor should get. And there's the corrugated shed. I think it's a real location. Not sure where it is. And the old three-wheel van that they must have kept in tip-top condition, apart from the fact no smoking this time, is there, obviously? Don't need it in the dark. The way it wobbles around. I used to work on cars years ago, and I drove one of these once, and if you turn the corner too fast, it will tip over onto its hood. Nice umbrella there, Del Boy, reminiscent of 1983, definitely, or the late 70s anyway. There's the old suitcase they used to sell all their stuff, but they're actually using it for their luggage this time. And I think they leave all the fishing gear on the top. Oh, here he is. The face in the tree. See, this is, because obviously Friday the 14th, the episode, so mainly, although there are Psycho bits in it, it's Friday the 13th, Jason, you know, there's that Jason hand in the trees. Probably a production assistant, probably not the actor who actually plays the part eventually. Or maybe they used him, but he looked like an old boy then, so no tellings, is there really? But doing the old they should have played the Jason music. I suppose it would have been copyright. They wouldn't have been allowed to, would they? Del Boy with his lyre waving it about. Back on the set, of course, because of the videotape now. You can see the videos change. And this is what I was talking to my son about the other day. Why they changed to... Why they just didn't film everything. So this bloody videotape that makes everything look like so crystal clear and horrible, so stark, and it just looks cheap. If you'd have filmed this, like if you watch To Hull and Back, the Christmas special, it's a movie. Basically a movie made by the BBC because it's all on film. And if you watch Spearhead from Space, the first John Pertwee Doctor Who, all filmed on 8mm or whatever film, and it looks fantastic. And then you watch the next story, Silurians, and it's rubbish because there's all this blooming studio crap that looks so crap. They're using the 3 camera setup that soap operas use, yeah, and it looks... Even though the comedy is fantastic, it's just... Oh, so... Just looks so cheap, this camera work. It's a typhoon, and we'll have a cup of typhoon tea bags back in the day. Del Boy making a semi-reference to that. By this time, Del Boy, David Jason was wearing a toupee to cover his crown of his hair, which he had a slight balding spot on now. So obviously he's dyed black, sides and front, but used the saucepan as a reference. They got an old gas thing from the ancient days. Oh, look at that candlelight thing. Yeah, Del Boy's going in. Because, I mean, no matter what you say about Del Boy, he's definitely not a coward. He's always getting... He never cowers. He's not a big guy, David Jason, 5'6". But, you know, very brave. So, anyway, Leonard Pierce got paid $3,500 for this episode. Obviously being nearly... Oh, here we go. There's the Jason moment. He put a ski mask on him, and it's Jason, isn't it? And he's even got that look. Must have been uncomfortable for the actor. I'm assuming it doesn't say anything, so he might have been some kind of stunt man, I'm guessing. Oh no, here we go. It's the Monopoly. And see, that was the main version of Monopoly. You still get the red and white packet now, obviously. But there are so many different versions of it now. Star Wars, yabby dabby. Oh, and here is the axe. The chopper murderer. They're not looking for an escaped chopper murderer. Classic. Where are we? See, I can explain this for our American cousins, but he said we're in Stuck, which means we're basically, like, dead. But, no. Why would, yeah, not in 1983, they might have still chopped down, but not chop a little bit of fire with an axe like that. I don't think you chop a tree down. You'd be there all night and all day. It'd have to be bloody brilliant. Like, see, Grandad, Leonard Pierce with his comic timing, fantastic. I mean, the Wendy House is in this season as well, when Rodney goes into business by himself, and that is really, I mean, his delivery, he had them in tears. David Jason and Nicholas Linus had them in tears. Up the hill in Bedfordshire, the Free Bears have probably eaten him by now. You see, I mean, I know I've got to quote it, but brilliant. Fairy tale. Bostik is some kind of glue from the 80s. I don't know if they still do it, but there it is. He won't go up there. He's not that brave, Del Boy. He's got the axe in his hands, but he's still not brave. Plus, he'd have to leave the scene and go up those stairs that probably go nowhere. I'm not sure you can even get up the stairs. They'll probably collapse because it's a BBC set we're talking here. And even though the budget was 82 grand, that was probably all spent on going out places and building the set. This is a set they threw up, obviously, out of some set that was probably used in something else. Like All Creatures Great and Small or something, to give it that sort of weird 30s look. His brother? Yeah, brilliant. And Rodney wearing the famous sort of duffel coat that he wore for years in this. The sort of Parker thing that everyone wears. And brilliant, wait for it. Leonard Pierce, brilliant, straight in with Hope You Don't Find Out Flat. Just brilliant coming in. Steals it every time. I mean, Uncle Albert, when he came in later on, he wasn't an experienced actor or anything, but he just didn't have the chops of Lemon. Not really, when you compare them. If you put them side by side, Uncle Albert, he's being directed well. The other actors are helping him, but pardon me, but Leonard Pierce, he's just a seasoned actor, and he knows exactly when to deliver these lines, and he can reduce you to tear. I'm not so sure about Albert. Never really got me that much. Perfect timing there, all time, for the light to go off. So, you know, like a stage show, really, basically. Oh, we've got Monopoly out. Idiot must be Rodney's. So this is Boyce's Cottage, and Boyce appeared a lot. Was more of a sort of sinister figure in the earlier days, a bit more threatening, and then became a figure of fun as we went along, and Marlene was introduced. In the next season, I think, or... When did Marlene come? Yeah, season 4, so she never got to meet Leonard Pierce, obviously, because he'd been passed on by then. And here's Del Boy conning his brother out of some money for Monopoly. I don't want it, do we? And Monopoly, everybody knows, so... I mean, they reference the Steptoe, they play Scrabble, if you watch a Steptoe episode called Men of Letters. So they're now copying that trope. Fucking trope, what an idiot. Yeah. So he's bringing the reality of it in, old Leonard here, old Grandad. He's bringing the smelly old waterworks. Why would I go to a hotel there? Not play it, obviously, just... See, they're both conning Rodney in. I think that a normal person would get frustrated with this situation, wouldn't you? You went, bloody hell, they can't even play a game without trying to con me out of some money. And the earlier reference, Wouldn't Kneel to Bedfordshire, is an old poem written in the 30s about some, kids going to bed. So that's where that came from. Because sometimes they don't all hit, some of these Cockney references from the 80s. Because they were probably older then, My old ape would be going like a good one, and no one understands what he's on about. It means heart, but it's such a long stretch in the other episode, you just can't. Yeah, in a losing streak, which is series 2. Which is probably the best season of Only Fools and Horses by a long shot. Oh no, here we go. This is the definitely Friday the 13th moment where he's going to look out the window. And such a great, these are great dramatic actors as well, because look, he sees him standing there, having a shower, and not knocking on the door for some reason, which is weird. I assume he thinks that, well, spoilers, but the policeman is really the crazy man. But, exactly, I'm assuming, why doesn't he knock on the door if he's the gamekeeper? It doesn't make any sense. Why is he sneaking around? So I'm assuming he thinks that the policeman's in there as well. And he's playing it stealthy to cover it. As a man. Window cleaner? I'm going to ruin that joke for you in case you don't get it. Yeah. But look at Lyndhurst. He's just so still here and lanky and awkward. Sort of like Ron from Harry Potter, yeah? Got that same sort of lanky... if it was like 20 years earlier they did Harry Potter, I'm sure Lyndhurst would have been a cert for Ron. He would have been perfect. Very similar physical type to Rupert Grint. It's very similar, isn't he? You can see it, And I suppose you could have had Uncle Albert, or Uncle Albert's Dumbledore, even though I say he was a former bank manager, not much of an actor. Look at the way, brilliant. Stage acting, swaying for giving it the physical comedy there, David Jason. They did film another scene, apparently, set in a pub, but because the episode was overrunning, even though when John Cleese talks about 40 Towers, he said they'd do the episode as long as they wanted it, because there's no advert problems on BBC. But they cut it for timing reasons. I don't think you need it. It's alright as a bottleneck show. Probably where some of the budget went as well. And then his forehead, the whites of his reflections coming up. John Sullivan. I don't like his other stuff, John Sullivan. He wrote Citizen Smith, which an episode was called Only Fools. I didn't like that much. And I like Robert Lindsay. I quite like him in My Family, but didn't like Citizen Smith. He also did Just Good Friends, a sort of 80s rom-com about a man, Jan Francis Nicholas, Paul Nicholas. They couldn't get together, or they were getting together and then falling apart. I didn't like that either. And the thing about taxi cabs, look him up, you'll see all his credits. But really, this is for me, his brilliance. This is the genius of John Sullivan. You can write this show, this is beat for beat fantastic, isn't it? Could be anybody. Oh, this is great. You could do this one on the stage perfectly. You don't need to go anywhere, do this on the stage. Push a few out. I know they've done the musical now, but why does it have to be a musical? They could have just done the stage show. I know you can sing only... what songs are you going to sing? Roll Out the Bloody Bar, I don't want to see it. I'm not interested. Because they really could have just put a few of the shows together and made a brilliant hour and a half play, no problem. But no, went down the musical route like everything does for some reason. Here we go. Oh, look, there's shut the door. Brilliant, brilliant. Keep shutting. The timing's fantastic. It's like music, isn't it? They're beating along, brilliant. So now he thinks the door's going to be shut on him again. And enter our murderer, our Agatha Christie murderer, the crazy axe murderer. It's funny that the policeman, he took his gear, well, we never see him actually, so we don't know if he was a similar size. So there is that, but, he's got all his ID. No photo ID, of course, because this is the 80s. Yeah. He's very, this man, Christopher Malcolm, and recently the character of the murderer is called Charlie Chopper Winters. They finally found this out when they went through the archives. Obviously must have found an old script with his name on it. And so he's drinking on duty as well, which is probably a bad sign because he did drink it. And policemen don't drink on duty, so there's your first hint that he's not a real policeman. Rodney put his hand up like a good little schoolboy. Ron. Rodney. There you go. See, maybe I'm right. Maybe that was the inspiration for old, what's her name, J.K. Rowling. Anyway, this chap, you will recognise the murderer man from Empire Strikes Back as the snowspeeder man who flies the ship and finds Han Solo when Han Solo goes out to find Luke and stuffs him up the Tauntaun, and has to wait till morning. And then he is the pilot that flies in and says, we found them, and he gets blown up later on in the AT-AT walk a bit. He's also, if you like AbFab, which I'm sure a few of you do, I don't mind it, it's okay, Absolutely Fabulous with Jennifer Saunders, he is Safi's father. And he's turned up in all kinds of programmes, this guy is a bit butler. I think he was in Superman as a prison guard, or prison officer or something, because he's got the height, of course, to be this sort of character. I think he originates from Canada. You can't tell though, can you? He doesn't sound at all like it. So. But really, this is a three-hander with the so it's sort of Agatha Christie because we're in a sort of shut down place because she does her murder house mysteries, you know, where it's all in the one location, sort of like Cluedo. That's all. They're all stuck in here. And Cluedo, they should have played that, eh? I suppose they'd have been hammering the reference on too much. There he is. He's off to Bog because he's not scared anymore because the policeman's there. The toilet's outside, like it was in so many places built pre-80. Rodney wearing all these layers as well. Nicholas Linder's lately sort of in Nutrix as a sort of detective character, going straight for once, doing a straight role. Which is, though, you know, why not? I don't know why they have to typecast. Slams the door, is such a warrior. Brilliant. Reminds me of Godfather Part 2, where they lock the door on purpose to stop the guy going out who's asking for a favour or something from... He just slammed it shut. Here we go. He's in the bog, outside. I mean, I had to find a location that would obviously facilitate all this. Because we're back on location here, of course. And they're only filming these little bits, because this is obviously in the studio. Yeah, Leonard giving us the asides. The cameras... See, the mixer must have done a good job. Because I think in the BBC back in these days, the director would sit up in the booth and cut it up in the cutting booth upstairs, the editing booth upstairs. Here we go, here's the Psycho reference. Because he's only seen the film, of course, Grandad. He doesn't know what he's on about, really, does he? But I reckon this is one of the classics of because I say this is classic Only Fools and Horses, because I break Only Fools and Horses into two bits. Up to the end of Series 5, it's basically the three leads, and Uncle Albert and Grandad changing. Then Series 6 onwards, we introduce Cassandra. Oh, here we go, the murderers. Well, not the murderer. The pseudo-murderer has just got it in the face. Yeah, because Season 6 onwards, we have Cassandra, and Raquel comes in after that, and it becomes more of a ensemble cast with Boise and Trigger. Although they turn up, they don't come in as often as they do later on. So it becomes more of an ensemble, but up to this is pure, up to about Series 4 and 5, it's pure, you know, the three leads, basically. With Dylan Rodney taking the majority, and Leonard Pierce, of course, being as the side, sort of, what do they call it? Well, you know, backup actor. Oh yeah, they've both gone and left Del Boy with the murderer. See, brilliant. Leonard Pierce, he steals it. You're too modest, Rodney, and everyone breaks down. Obviously, we're back on film. That man was the father in Metal Mickey. That a really weird thing I used to watch when I was young. And now we find out it was the gamekeeper. He's got someone's bandana around his face. Is that a red KSI bandana? Sorry about the reference. 2019, look him up. He was a YouTuber around this time. Doesn't matter now. Yeah, so the chief of security is not the chief of security. What a surprise. But he played there was a weird sitcom in the early 80s called Metal Mickey. It's about a robot that lived with a family. Look it up, it's on their YouTube. He played the father figure, the father of the family. And he did a lot of stuff, apparently. Didn't see him in much else apart from Metal Mickey, because I was young, and this. Oh, and he's tidied up Monopoly now. But of course now the police murderer has the axe in his hand, and we now know he's the murderer. We're ahead of Del. And of course there's no mobiles and everything in them days, so he's got to wait for the proper phone call to come in. To scare him to death. Full moon, which gets murderers going, apparently. Some kind of weird thing. Lunatic comes from lunar, loon, work, moon, you know. So there you go. He's been given his drink. lunatic, mad at the moon, because they come out in the moon. You know, when the old people, in the olden days. You know. Yeah, here we go. Brilliant. Look at Davy Jones. Doesn't have to say anything. He knows. He's what? There you go. Brilliant. Apparently all this gold was fake gold, because obviously the actor creates the character, but they're all plastic paper rings and whatever you call them, you know, costume jewellery. That's the one. Props. You got the D. I bet that's worth a few quid if you get your hands on that on eBay. You'll be into some money then, ladies and gents. You know, he wants to run for it, quick drink, and off you go, boom. And David Jason, of course, proved himself a great dramatic actor. Brilliant light comedian, obviously. But later did, I don't like Inspector Frost because it's really grim, and I can't stand grim so much these days. But he was really good as Frost, Inspector Frost. I can't remember what the phone character's first name. And even Cassandra popped up in an episode of that, so look out for her in one of them, Gwyneth Strong. And now he's moving in for the kill, but Del Boy, being the man that he is the only one who could talk his way out of a situation like this. Because he killed a party of weekend fishermen, this murderer guy. And now Del Boy's convinced him he's just down there for the exercise. There you go, he's diffused. It would have been a brilliant negotiator, wouldn't he, old Del Boy? He could... See, you can... Brilliant power. Because, you know, I've never seen Christopher Malcolm do a role like this. I mean, I know he's twinkling a bit, but he's definitely got the psycho edge to him. He's doing it well. Here we go. Snooker table. But of course, he's a lunatic, so a madman. So, of course, the snooker table's already here. This table will do. And, of course, this is brilliant. The way David... I mean, I don't know whether this was in the script, but look, David Jason here, he's going to take a bit of felt off it. You know, a bit of fluff, because it's felt. Brilliant. Genius. Oh, here we go. This is the helicopter. And now, for those that don't know, this is a reference to Barrett's, a company that used to build houses in the 80s, big housing estates, and their advert was a helicopter that used to fly around with Barrett's written on the side, and they used to point out all their houses and that. So that is the reference, and it's supposed to throw the murderer guy off, which it did. Shut him down, didn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, he's even going to get the axe off him. I mean, you think he's not going to, and then he sees the sense of it, because you can't hold your snooker cue. There you go. The brilliance of the Del Boy character, and played by David Jason, and written by Sullivan. He can diffuse a madman. There we go, and he thinks he's going to fight with him because he's got his fists up, but of course it's the invisible cues. Which cue do you want? And you can see that David Jason's about, what, 5'6", I think? 5'6" or 7? So, really not a tall man. And the brilliant mime in there. But I think, you see, he got his thumb up there, so he did have hold of him, but I didn't think that, because I thought they were just doing it together. Because it's like dancing, playing tennis, they say actors, you got a good actor, you play against each other. Yeah, always lose. You're going to let him win, and he don't like winning. He likes to lose, because you never get challenged when you lose, which I suppose is an interesting philosophy, really. Because you don't, do you? If you don't win, no one's going to challenge you, so you get left alone. And unless you're really into that, winning and losing is a bit abstract anyway. Who cares, you know, at the end of the day? That's only you, and you feel good for an hour or so after you've won, and then what? You've got to defend it forever. Who cares? Winning. What is the point? Oh, sounds a bit rough, doesn't it? Bit of a philosophy lesson for you there. Stupid, I know, but there you go. Most of the things I say are stupid, never mind. But it's all relative to what you can gain out of a win, isn't it, really? Einstein? I think Del Boy does references to Einstein at some point. In the Russians one. The Russians are coming. Well, they build the fabricated up. Check out his Einstein reference then. Here we go, and I think we're here. Because they're paying for £5 a frame. And we got to the end of it, didn't that? Storm it. That episode took no time. Stunning. And of course, Del Boy turns it around at the end and manages to make money off of a murderer. Until the police get there. I'm assuming that he's going to take the money from the actual policeman because he's got the policeman's wallet. But brilliant stuff. I mean, how can you argue with that? It's half an hour of brilliance. A classic episode. So if you want to leave me a thumbs up and a like and subscribe to the Super Mikey channel, please do. And we'll get some more of these. I know you're loving your Only Fools and Horses, so we could do some more in the future, eh? We'll get some more done and whack out a few. I'm going through some comedies. Well, I've done some One Foot in the Graves, that all on my channel. So if you're interested, subscribe, drop a like. And there we go. There's the Ray Butt, produced and directed, the final credit. End of episode. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my vague ramblings. And I'll see you again soon. So signing out. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good evening. Have a good day. Go fishing. Bye.